Katie Knight, and welcome back to another episode of Can You Put Me on Guest List? Today's episode was recorded at the so-called Palm House in sunny LA with artist and brand managers Jazz Spinder and Attilio Pugliese from Forward Motion Artists. Between them, they manage some of the most talented artists in dance music, such as Jamie Jones, Lee Foss, Art Department, Nathan Barato, Detlef, Carlo Lio, Lee Burridge, Latmun and Bedouin, and also manage some of their artist brands, such as Paradise, Hot Creations, Repopulate Mars, All Day I Dream, Saga and Rawthentic.
Also have to create a unique experience even more so now and make, just do something different to identify yourself and kind of cut through because there is so much out there now.
I sat down and had a chat with them about their biggest challenges as managers and what they've learned along the way, what an artist should look for in a manager and vice versa, and building up brands. If you do like this episode, please remember to subscribe. I had lots of fun recording it, and we'll have new episodes for you every week. Jazz and Attilio, hello, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to be with you guys in the office today.
Thanks for having us. Welcome to the Palm House.
Yeah, welcome to the Palm House.
I love the Palm House. It looks so cool.
And for those that are wondering, yes, we do have palm trees in here.
There's really good energy in here. It's a good vibe, lots of synergy.
It's funny though how it is called the Palm House. It actually is called the Palm House, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not that you guys have just called it the Palm House, right?
No, we call it.
Oh,
we call it
But
that. There's reasons we're not gonna say it, but there's reasons why we call it the Palm House.
Okay, we'll leave that one there.
And there's palm trees in here and around us because we're in LA, so that's...
And you guys represent Paradise in the logo and Hot Creations, and that's all paradisey and...
Yeah, so that kind of all
palm
fit,
trees.
it all kind of fit together, yeah.
Perfect match.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just start off by talking about what brands and artists both of you manage.
Want to start?
Sure. I look after Lee Foss and the Repopulate Mars event brand, along with Nathan Barato, Carlo Lio, and their event brand Rawthentic, and Detlef and Latmun.
I do Jamie Jones, Paradise, Lee Burridge, All Day I Dream, Bedouin, Saga, Art Department, and White Cliffs.
Okay. Yeah? Is that all of them?
A lot easier to remember now than when I was an agent.
Do you go through it alphabetically in your head?
Yes.
Like in your emails?
Categorized.
By the way, that's not in order of billing.
Disclaimer.
Okay, Jazz. Before you worked here at FM Artists, you were also an agent at CAA. How different has that been for you?
It's been incredibly different. It's been, a different set of timelines, different amount of energy going into each artist versus the way it was before. A lot deeper dive into each artist's career. And I, not to take anything away from what I was doing before, but I really feel like, the things that we're doing now really push the needle forward, like move things forward in the artist's career. As opposed to just gigs, we really got our hands, and our brains on everything that's going on in the artist's life.
Did you two work together though before when you were a manager and you were an agent?
Yeah,
we did. It was an interesting dynamic then. I could speak for myself. Jazz then was sort of a mentor at the time.
Aw, how sweet.
So it was
not anymore though.
And I guess now we have a different working dynamic where we're working on a lot of things as opposed we were then, but it's more like you said, hands-on on the projects, the artists, a lot of collaborative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing each other every single day.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Which is lovely.
There's synergy in this office. There's energy. It's electric.
It is electric.
And Attilio, management was something that you kind of just fell into. How were the beginnings for you? Because I know you didn't really have anyone that guided you at the beginning.
At the beginning, I'd say it was definitely tough. It was a learn as you go process, or, I did promoting before that, so it was about trying to apply some of what I learned from there into managing artists. But I mean, it was just more or less about being in the trenches. I really put myself out there, tried to be as involved as possible, and yeah, it was kind of like on the fly, a lot of it.
And as you both said before, besides just managing artists, you also manage brands. How do you find that? How different is managing an artist to managing a brand?
I mean, I think that, there's a lot of differences because when managing a brand, and just to clarify, like an event brand or an event series that we have, such as like a Paradise or All Day I Dream or Saga or Repopulate Mars, that kind of thing. We're in a sense we're promoters, and then the old promoting, I was a promoter for over 20 years, in and out, through the course of time being an agent and everything, but until he was a promoter before, and it's that you pull that hat out of the closet and you start, working from that perspective when you're putting together the events, and that you get to be creative on that stuff too.
That hat definitely comes out a lot in what we do, and it's a useful tool for us, because with the brands we really have to lean on that side of what we know, and we got to think, how does it affect the promoters we work with, and how does it affect the events or the brand itself, and how to build it and push it forward. So it's definitely something that we have an advantage in knowing.
Definitely having that background, yeah.
Do you think you spend more time working on the brands or on the artists, or is it kind of the same?
I think it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely goes hand in hand. I mean, there's not one without the other.
No, yeah, it goes hand in hand. I mean, it's coming into Ibiza season, then definitely more on the brands because it's really intense. And like around times like WMC Miami, Art Basel Miami, Sonar, ADE, when you're coming into times like that, definitely feels like a lot more based around the brands and the events. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty equal.
At what stage is it a good time for an artist to create their own brand, such as Repopulate Mars or All Day I Dream?
I say give it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely have to have some sort of history behind the artist, and
get a fan base built up. And
you want the artist to have some level of credibility, and a good following before you step into the brand world, because as we know, the brands are almost like an artist in itself. They are. A lot of moving parts. They take up a lot of time. So without having that base from the artist, it's definitely hard to push the brand forward.
The fan base, yeah, and it should be at a point where I think other artists are looking up to you in some way, shape, or form, like your peers. I think that's in a good place. I mean, sometimes it helps to have a label, but then again, when do you start the label? Similar question. But you could come out of the gate starting label, I think, easier than you could come out of the gate starting an event.
Yeah, I'd say it's easier to put out records than it is to sell tickets.
Really?
Yeah, because that's part of what that should be like your calling card to begin with, is the music that you're making and, getting it out there. And once you're doing that good, then I think it's time that's what starts the fan base, I think, nowadays, having the good music out there and then building the fan base. And then once you have the fan base, then it's a better time to start the brand, I think.
Do the artists have a lot of input as well in their brands, or do they kind of all just leave it to you?
No, a lot.
A lot of input. Yeah, they sort of give us their vision and their direction they want to go, and we guide it. I guess you can kind of say they're the car and we're the engine. It's kind of a good way to maybe call it.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely have a lot of say in what goes on with the brand. It's their babies, it's definitely.
Yeah, they really care about it, and it's something that they, especially when they start, they have their brands flowing. It's a big deal for them because through and through it's their vision. So it's something that they want to project to their fan base and come across as something that they want everybody to enjoy, and to be able to build it, they have to see their vision come to fruition.
What's the hardest part of building a brand?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Getting the people to come, buying tickets. I think that's the biggest part, is just figuring out something new and exciting and different. I mean, it seemed like it wasn't so much of that going on before. It feels like there's so much going on now.
It's so competitive.
And there's so many things that are kind of similar, that, now it's like not only do you have to do it and get fans in the door, or get the get people buying tickets and get bodies in the room or in the venue or or whatever wherever you're doing it, but you also have to create a unique experience even more so now and make just do something different to identify yourself and kind of cut through, because there is so much out there now.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could agree. It's like about finding the right promoting partners too.
Yeah,
that's a big key factor, and I think the teams that you build around the brands as well.
Right.
Especially having brands in Ibiza, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and the bookings is hard too. I'd say it's probably getting the people there, keeping the people there, keeping it unique and fresh all the time. Keeping it fresh is very hard, and keeping the lineups interesting and fresh. And now everybody has their own brand and their own thing, so it's harder to get people to play for your brand. Even if you have a good brand that you think everybody wants to play for, there's so many people that are starting their own brands, so many artists that are starting their own brands, that they're like, well, we're going to do our own thing this time in this city for this time around. So it's tough to find a good lineups.
That's probably right now one of the biggest challenge we face.
Look at Miami. If you look at Miami going into WMC right now, if you just go through and look, I don't want to say, I'm not going to say anything specific, but like you have your lineup, and then you have that you think is yours and unique, and like a lot of the artists that you work with and you built up, and then all of a sudden
they're playing five other shows.
They're playing 4 or 5 other shows. Similar groups of artists playing the similar groups of shows. It's like, well, what do you do to differentiate? It's hard. That's one of the harder parts of it.
I guess social media has an important part in this as well, because you have to try and promote it as much as possible and more than others.
Yeah, and you want to promote it, but then it also comes to the point is like, how much of the same are we promoting? How much of the content
how much crossover is there?
Yeah.
Is it hard for you guys as well, having so many brands at FM? Do they sometimes, I don't want to say the word compete, but...
I don't think so, because I think they're different.
And we try and do a good job internally too, to make sure those brands aren't in the same cities together. Yeah. They're not stepping on each other's toes. There's enough space.
I think they're different enough too. I mean, the style and the musical. I mean, there's some crossover. I'd say there's some crossover with Paradise and Repopulate Mars a little bit, and there's a little bit of crossover with All Day I Dream and Saga.
Yeah, and then you see that, but then you got the complete ends of the spectrum, where you got Saga and Repopulate Mars, which is a night and day experience.
There would never be anybody the same on those. Maybe a little bit with Paradise and Saga, but yeah, I don't think it really. It's very easy to take. I mean, it's very easy to take one hat off and put the other hat on. From when you're talking about one brand to another brand, even when booking one of our own artists to another brand within our company, it's a pretty easy thing to do.
We try and map it out as best we can.
When is a good time for an artist to take on management?
Never too early, I'd say.
Yeah, I think manager before agent.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think you should be... It's important, I think, to have someone in your corner believing in you, and that's your manager.
Somebody helping to push it forward, and that wants you to get ahead and cares 100% about you.
Yeah, it's hard to represent yourself as an artist. There's a lot of things that you may take personally, or that really aren't personal,
or that you might give into a lot easier because you're excited and you don't have somebody guiding you.
Yeah, letting you know that this isn't the way. I think you could skip a lot of steps with a manager. There's a lot of trial and error that you'll avoid if you have an experienced manager in your corner. That's the difference too. It's about having someone who has some experience, at least in the industry, to some degree, or a little bit of skin in the game in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you need somebody that knows their way around, the way around the business, and has kind of done it, for a few other acts, and sort of knows the ins and outs.
What are your biggest challenges as a manager?
That's a good question. I mean, there's a lot.
Sure, there's a lot.
There's definitely a lot. I think it's, managing a client's expectations in a way, because they do have a lot of ideas. They have a lot of, different directions they might want to go in. So it's about maybe trying to keep them on a specific path that in the beginning you kind of set out to do.
Yeah, and like we were talking earlier, time management, that's, on our own side, that's a
big challenge.
Yeah, and just trying to keep the identity fresh and new, and of everything and everyone that we're doing. I think that's one of the hardest parts. Is it's just so cloudy out there.
You know,
So
something I kind of keep coming back to, and I know Jazz will 100% agree, is time zones, because we work on artists with that are on different time zones, and you know, you could be in LA at one point and somebody's in Spain, or you could be in Europe and they're on the East Coast in America, and it's just about finding that balance. You know, it's like how do you make sure that you deliver on a daily basis, but at the same time get sleep.
Yeah, and the balance between, you know, work life and home life, it's very intense. It's very time consuming, and it's full on all the time. Like, you know, during the week it's about being on top of emails and being on top of phone calls. On the weekend it's like being available in case something goes wrong while the actual shows are there, and actually being on site for the shows and executing on the ground. There's a big balance between that too, especially when the summer season comes and you want to be at the shows, but you also are expected to be on top of your emails. But the artists want you at the shows.
And then you've got other people on other time zones.
Yeah, and then you got people on other time zones. So it's really like, you know, that's, I guess, the more granular answer to that. To that question, but there's many challenges. It's not complaining. It's fun.
You know what? It really is a 7 day. It really is a 7 day a week, 7 day a week gig.
It really is.
You know, to really get a stranglehold on it and really want to make your artist successful, you have to be there on the clock for them. Really.
But then at the same time, when you take a step back for a minute and stop thinking about everything for a second, it ends up becoming, I think, way more productive. I mean, if I try to, like, you know, in the gym, not look at my phone or not look at my emails, and that's when all of a sudden just ideas just start flooding in.
You need that headspace.
Just take that second away. So that's also very important, and we don't do that enough. And that's one thing I will stress. Just doing that, it really helps everyone. Even if you think you're going to miss everything when you're doing it, sometimes it's important because you're missing like ideas that are coming through your head that you're blocking by just
being buried in emails and kind of going through the motions, where you need that. You need that time to be a creative person, or go through that creative process, because it essentially helps everybody around you.
Yeah, it's so important just to have time for yourself, isn't it? And just kind of clear your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to be in the right headspace too. I mean, you want to go into the day in the right frame of mind. I think that's one of the, you know, important things we as managers try to do. That doesn't always work, but we try.
So I'm sure there are a lot of artists that approach you guys looking for management, and I'm sure you guys are always looking for new talent as well. What do you look in an artist before you take them on?
You know, it's a tricky question because every artist is different, right? I mean, there's specific things I'd say we tend to look for, like work ethic, you know, output, because it's important, because without that driving horse, so to speak, it's like doesn't really allow us to be able to push it forward. And through and through, you know, we look for, I know with our management company, we look for good people as well.
Yeah, I think that's one important thing. It's just like someone that's a good person, that has good morals. Like, you know, when we first started doing this on the management side, I said, I don't want to work with anybody that doesn't, you know, share similar morals. I don't want to be carrying out any marching orders that I don't necessarily agree with. And when that starts happening, it doesn't matter who it is, I'm going to move on, because I don't want to, you know, like artists that are like canceling gigs for no reason or trying to justify certain things and just doing promoters wrong. None of our clients do that. And I'm not just saying that. Like, this was carefully selected groups of people to be dealing with, because we don't want to be carrying out marching orders that we don't necessarily agree with. There's never a time when I'm calling a promoter or an agent or somebody and saying something that I don't fully agree with. Like, we talk it through until we both, you know, everybody kind of agrees. I would say the other big thing is unique qualities, someone different, you know. I was just saying to somebody else that works here, looking to sign somebody, you know, I think one of the things is like, okay, who does that person sound like? If you could say something or someone, then I think that probably we don't want to look at that artist. Like, it's really about being unique and something different. Yeah, there could be similarities to other things that are going on or other artists or certain trends, but the trends is kind of what we want to stay away from. As soon as a trend starts falling into the
trends die, right?
Yeah, you got to switch it up, and you don't want to own that a specific trend or be a part of that.
Yeah, and I think it's about looking at them and being what separates them from their peers, you know,
right. Or what could potentially separate them, and what can we,
how can we help?
Yeah, what can we amplify out of their style or their persona or brand or whatever it is that they're doing, that's going to help separate them from the pack.
And I know that you both have quite a close relationship and friendship with some of your DJs. Mm-hmm. Can it be hard to find that balance between friendship and business, or does having that friendship make it a lot easier for you?
I think having that friendship does make it a lot easier, because there's a certain level of trust too that they put into you, and you build this relationship outside of just work, and that correlates into a successful business relationship. I think so.
I think that it's important to like the people that you're working with and working alongside, and even not just with the artists that we manage, but also the staff that we have here. And we're growing right now at a pretty decent pace. A little faster than
we thought.
Yeah, a little faster than we planned. But it's important, when we're selecting people that we work with, people we want to be around. And same thing with the artists. It's like someone you don't want to be on the phone. I mean, we're on the phone with these guys or meeting with these guys,
texting, WhatsApp groups,
it's much like all the time. So I think it's very important that there is a friendship and a relationship. I know some people might disagree and say, well, you don't want to run a mixed business with pleasure, but I feel like
it's hard not to, in a way, when you're spending so much time with them, or you're, you go on the road with them, or you're so invested.
Yeah, you gotta like each other. You can't be like, I gotta go see these people.
Yeah, and you must know everything about them.
Yeah.
And
definitely, and you know what you really need to, in order to sort of keep a healthy relationship with them.
I think so. I think if I wasn't that relationship with someone, I probably wouldn't want to.
You need to know about their skeletons in the closet.
Yeah. What should an artist look for when choosing a manager?
Someone that cares. Someone that believes in them.
I think that's the first and most important.
That's not just that's not just there for a paycheck. And because you do, we won't say any specifics, but there are people out there that just look at it as a dollar sign.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is hot right now. I think I'll grab this because. And then if it's not good anymore,
they just dump them to the side.
Yeah, and you see it, and you look in the history for that. Like, you should look at the history of that. Like, someone who grabs, if there's managers that are grabbing stuff just because they think it's going to make money, you could kind of tell. You look at their history, you see who they manage, see what type of stuff they're into, and they're doing stuff that's kind of outside of. I don't know. It should be fairly easy to tell that part. Someone who really believes and truly believes in you.
You need to do your research, basically.
Yeah, you need to do your research. I mean, I was going to comment on the friends that are managers kind of thing a little bit earlier, and I just don't know really what I want to say publicly about that, because there is, in the early days, it is good to have that, because it is good to have that person that believes in you, as long as they have some sort of experience in the music industry. I'm not saying that,
and they're not just there along for the ride.
Right, and I don't think I'm not saying that that's forever. Maybe that person, as things progress and you develop into like all of a sudden it starts becoming real,
and they step up and they start showing that
they either grow with you. That could happen, but I do think that. Maybe you just find a role for them, and then you come in and go with someone a little more experienced that can really actually take you to the next level. Because there are levels to this, and that's a tricky one.
It's a touchy one.
It's
really.
funny. One of my questions was going to be about friends that are managers, and I actually took it out because I was like, I don't really know how.
I was going to say something in the earlier thing, in one of the earlier questions, and I was like, I don't know. It's tough because I have seen that become a successful thing. I have seen that work. Everybody starts somewhere. I started in this with one of my first bigger clients that helped me start making a name for myself were best friends of mine, early on. And it ended up working. We all just everybody develops their skill level. And if you develop it at the same pace that the artist is growing, and then you do other stuff that proves that you're not just attached to that, you make a name for yourself in a couple other areas or a couple other avenues, then I think that it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's, there's people who respect that too. Right. From the outside. They look in, they're like, because people could have been quite skeptical of something like that from the beginning, but if you stepped it up and they see that you've grown with the artist and you've pulled your weight and you're a big part of helping that artist get to where they are, then there's something to be said about that.
But then there's other times where you could just tell someone's like, you meet with an artist, you meet their manager, and you're like, oh, this guy knows nothing.
Yeah.
You could tell they're just along for the ride, and they're trying. Sometimes they're trying, and sometimes they're not even trying. And they're just there because it's the person's friend, and you just feel bad, but there's really nothing nothing you could do about it. So it's a tricky one. That one.
It is.
What are the key lessons that you've learnt along the way since becoming managers?
Well, for me, when I changed from agent to manager, is when I learned that, it's. I mean, I knew I had a lot of artists before. I had probably about 30 artists when I was an agent at CAA, and at that time, going into management, I knew that I had to trim it down significantly. But even then, even when I trimmed it down, to 5, I was still like, whoa. I mean, actually, it was 4 right when I first did it. I was like, okay, this should be good around like this, and I kind of estimated. And at first, it was like, whoa. Like the first year, I was like, holy. I mean, also running the business. I'm also running the business, so I'm doing things like payroll and talking to accountants and dealing with landlords and all that other stuff, which is, you add all that up and that becomes another client. So underestimated at first what it was with that. So I think one of the lessons was like how much time and energy goes in when you include all the other elements that go into an artist's career, like on the music side, on the event side. There's just so many more things than just bookings and just shows and just touring. So
for some of your artists that were at CAA, were you once their agent and then you turned into their manager? Or
yes, all of them, yeah.
How was that for them as well?
It was tough because we're like, who's going to be your agent? Like we love.
Who's going to take my place?
Yeah, like we love that you're doing this, but
we love you as an agent.
Does that mean that you're not going to be the agent anymore? And unfortunately, here in California and in New York, and I'm not sure exactly where, but there's a rule that you can't
do both.
You can't be both.
Oh,
that's why there's a lot of people that work in Europe. They are agents. A lot
in
managers.
Europe they do it like crazy.
Yeah,
it's
everything
like
in-house.
It's illegal.
It's illegal here.
There's a law against it technically here. Yeah.
In California, New York.
In California and in New York, and there, I think a couple other places. I don't know. I'd have to look deeper. I mean, I really studied it when we first, took on this endeavor. But so it's kind of good though, because it's nice to have that separation and have someone out there. I know what it's like being an agent, and it's good to. It's easier for us to drive the agents, knowing now since I was on the other side of that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
What about you, Attilio? What would your key lessons that you've learned be?
I think for me it's been about a balance, with having artists on different levels and how to treat one of your bigger acts the same as one of the not smaller but sort of
a
different level, and giving them both the same amount of attention, because I think that's something that artists fear out of a manager as he grows, is if you do take on a bigger act, maybe that time isn't going to be spent on them like you once did. And for me, I kind of pride myself in giving everybody the same amount of attention. And it could be tough sometimes because, some artists have more demands or more, if they had a brand that's growing at a fast pace and that needs time too, then you really have to find a way to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess challenge is keeping everybody happy.
That's a good way to sum it up. Keeping everybody happy. And you know what? It does make it easy that our artists, believe it or not, don't have any egos. Because if they did, it would make that task a lot harder.
Yeah, it's definitely a good group when it comes to that, and it's easy. Everybody's pretty easy to work with, and that's I really mean.
It's a pleasure. It really mean that. It really is, and I know we see ourselves. It's something that we see ourselves being with those artists for a long period of time, growing with them, and see myself with them for the next 10 years as they grow.
That's why we haven't signed that much either, because we talk about it all the time. Like, okay, well, who should we get? It's like, well, whoever we get. This is it. It's not like when you're an agent, it's a little bit different. It's like you can sign someone and give it. It's still hard. Don't get me wrong. This was one of my biggest issues when I was an agent. Was like, when do you let them go? How does that work? But with management, it's like that's it. We're in it.
Yeah, you're in it, and you got to stick with it, because once we sign that person, we dedicate ourselves to and we pride ourselves on wanting to be able to set a difference in their careers and in their lives. And if you kind of just give up easily on it, or just half-ass it.
Yeah, you gotta, and you feel a lot more invested in it too, because you're dealing with so many more, dealing with everything with them, so it's
everything from top to bottom.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone that would like to get into artist management?
Don't do it. No.
I knew
Stay away.
No, I would say do it. It's very fulfilling. I think
it's very fulfilling, but you need to know that it is very time consuming at the same time, because you're all in, and there's a lot that goes into it. You're dealing, like we said before, you're dealing from everything from, if they have a label, helping them run their label, events, marketing, social media, touring,
music,
helping them with their taxes,
just help them find an accountant, lawyers.
Yeah, helping them find homes in different parts of the world to live in for certain time periods. There really is a lot that goes into it, and you need to be, I hate to use this phrase, but sort of a jack of all trades in a way, where you need to understand a little bit about all those aspects, because if you don't, you'll be lost.
But it's definitely gratifying. You're definitely doing, like I said earlier, and I can't stress this enough, you're definitely doing things that you see you're actually making a difference.
Because you see it, you see it, you
like,
put in the
let's
work.
try this. You guys all come up with an idea or a thought that, or even if it's the artist comes up with the thought, or you have an idea, or someone in the team has an idea. And that's an important thing to stress too. There's a team, by the way. It's not just us and the artist. There's a team. Depending on the artist, there's the larger the artist, most of the time, the larger the team. But it's not just us, it's a team. But someone on the team, or the artist, or yourself, or somebody comes up with an idea, you guys start it and start nurturing it and figuring out a way to do it. And then once it happens and it starts working, there's nothing like that.
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing that can match that feeling.
No, there isn't. There's nothing better. It really is seeing that come to the forefront, and seeing the artist be like,
gratifying.
wow, that actually happened from maybe a little, not to say stupid, but from a little blurb out in a meeting, and it could become a real thing.
Guys, listen, thank you so much for having a chat with me.
Oh, it was fun.
Thank you.
It's Friday night. I'm going to let you go. I'm sure you have lots of artists to sort out.
Shall we go have a drink?
Thank you so much, Jazz and Attilio.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.